The voice of Virginia.
Follow Rich Herrera on X at Rich for America.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
You can also find me, Rich, the number 4 America, on Instagram, X, Facebook. One of my Facebook posts blew up. Was in D.C. for the 4th of July, went to the Great American State Fair, and found the Virginia booth with a bicycle cable lock on it. I said padlock, I meant bicycle cable lock yesterday, and a very paltry, very thin, whatever you want to call it, display inside. And I found out we spent a grand total of $5,000 for a 16-day run. I would have gone in there and volunteered to man the booth that they asked. I bet a bunch of other people would as well. I did see John McGuire at the Washington Monument before we had to leave with the storm coming in, and I wanted to invite him to come on. And then with breaking news, it's a perfect day to talk with Congressman John McGuire, joining us right now, 7:34 on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Holy cow, it's been an amazing 250-year celebration all across the country. It was great seeing you there, but I actually went to that Great American State Fair booth for Virginia, and the door was open when I went by, and there was nobody in there. So I sat behind the table, and for about an hour or so, I stamped people's passports, signed them, and met people all over the country. But a lot of people from Virginia and a lot of people from my district said, hey, I'm in Halifax County. Hey, I'm in Lynchburg. So we got a bunch of pictures, and it was a lot of patriotism. But yeah, there was pretty much nobody manning the place.
I'm just laughing. I walk into the booth. Oh, look, there's my congressman. What are you doing here? Well, there's nobody here. So I just sat down and thought I'd stamp the passports for everybody. Sir, I looked at what we had. I tried to walk in on the 3rd, the day before the 4th of July, and I actually have a photo. I put it up on Instagram. It was locked. But then I looked through. It looked like it was thrown together. There was no effort in it. When you were sitting there meeting people that live in our Commonwealth, and then people from around the country, what was the reaction?
Well, they made a lot of comments like, I can't believe I get to meet my congressman. I guess, there's 800,000 people in the district and there's 435 members of Congress, but it's a real small amount of members of Congress considering the population of the country. So it's not every day you get to meet a congressman. So a lot of people, wanted to ask all kinds of questions, get pictures, that sort of thing. But no, it was very patriotic, and we got to talk about American exceptionalism and what it means to be an American. It was just great. Now I did that a couple of days before you and I saw each other for the fireworks, but yeah, gosh, clearly the biggest fireworks I've ever seen. 40 minutes, probably half a mile wide.
I didn't get back in because we left. Then we tried to get back in, but we weren't able to get back in because of the lines. But it just to be there that day, I got a chance to see you. I saw a bunch of it. It was an amazing day. But the whole thing was, I met people from around the country, and that's why I really wanted to bring you on before everything happened. We'll talk about Iran in just a second. But I met people from around the country, and here's what the conversations were like. Hey, where are you from? I'm from Montana. Where are you from? We live in Virginia. Oh, and then we start telling each other about our states, and then we just bond over this love of this great country and what we have in common. That's what the Great American State Fair was supposed to be. But unfortunately, for a lot of states, they either didn't participate or they didn't show up to showcase how great, let's say, the Commonwealth of Virginia is, Monticello, Mount Vernon, and all the history we have in this great Commonwealth.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I noticed that a lot of the blue states were not represented. Like Washington State had nobody in there as well.
No. Oregon.
And some of the others. But what was great, though, is I know what you did see is you got to see that amazing air show with the B-2 stealth bombers, the B-1B, the F-35s, and you saw Air Force One and then Trump Force One, the new giant aircraft that President Trump is going to fly until the new Air Force One is completed. All those, it was just a great air show right there. The Air Force Thunderbirds flew right over the Washington Monument over and over, and it was just an incredible display of American air power.
It was incredible. Breaking news. I want to get your thoughts on this. The president at NATO right now, he's come out and made his comments. Iran asked the United States, can we please not engage in anything while we're having the funeral for the Ayatollah? The United States said, okay, you know what? Go ahead and have your prayer in the morning. And then Iran starts lobbing missiles, firing at 3 ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. the president now giving comments that he goes, this is just becoming a waste of time. This MOU is in the ceasefire. I'm not even sure what's going on. I want to get your thoughts on this because we say we have a ceasefire, we have an MOU, yet they continue to posture as if they're the ones with all the leverage and we're the ones begging to get something done.
Yeah, it's an insane terrorist, number one state sponsor of terror. Their number one thing is death to America, death to America. My opinion, you can't negotiate with them. The only thing you can do is take away their military abilities. We've destroyed 85% of their capabilities. We need to go 100%. We need to take away, because if these people get a nuclear weapon, they will use it. They've mowed down 40 to 50,000 of their own people in the streets because they had a different opinion from birth all the way up. It's all about terrorism with this regime. And I know a lot of the people in Iran wish they had freedom, but they don't have weapons. And I just don't know. I mean, I've always been very skeptical of them because of their history, but you can't negotiate with them. And I can understand President Trump being frustrated. I give him a lot of credit for trying, but I will say the great thing is that he'd stopped them from getting a nuclear weapon. And you probably heard me say this in one of our Armed Services Committee. I asked Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, I said, if they get a nuclear weapon, they've showed that they can reach Paris or London. If they use it on Paris and London, would it kill 100 people? Would it kill 1,000 people? Or would it kill 1 million people? And the Secretary of War said 1 million people. So I'll give President Trump credit for saving, potentially millions of people. He had to stop the threat. But their own ideology says that it's okay to lie. And clearly they lie. I mean, they attack their own allies, which is why we have so much support from countries all over the Middle East.
And that's
it's nonsensical.
And that's the part that I'm trying to get across to folks is that we have a Western way of doing things. So if John McGuire and I are in an argument and I stick my hand out and say, hey, John, maybe let's de-escalate this. In the Western world, you go, okay, well, blessed is the peacemaker. That person seems like he's pretty reasonable. In that part of the world, in their way of thinking, I just showed weakness, which means you should pounce on me twice as hard.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the ideology. It's not compatible with Western civilization. There was a guy visiting Iran, and he was invited to go watch a woman get stoned to death. And he's like, never send me another invitation like that. Like they thought that was like going to a soccer game, like a good thing.
Well, and again, their point of view, their way of thinking is completely different than ours. But we kind of think that everybody thinks the way that we do. Let's go back beyond this, because I have people all the time. Well, what was the threat? What was the threat? If they have nukes and they were that close to getting it, and now they have that missile that we seek that can hit Europe, because they've shown that and they flexed it during the conflict. I might disagree even more a little bit and take beyond what Pete Hegseth said, because one nuclear missile attack at Europe is going to trigger another one coming back at them. And if that one comes back at them, who knows what's going to go on next? That was the whole thing of MAD, mutually assured destruction. Nobody was going to have that first shot, because once you do, someone's going to retaliate. And then when I retaliate, you retaliate, then we go back and forth, and everybody's retaliating. And Iran with a nuke would not worry about mutual assured destruction. Their point of view, their way of life is not the same as Western Europe, as the United States, or even Soviet Union and China that understand what MAD means.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. The thing is also they have, like I said, almost 50 years, 47 years, whatever it is, just been a number one state sponsor of terror, killing thousands of U.S. soldiers, citizens, and people in the world. And it's a death ideology. And so we've got to stop it. I'm glad that we have a president with a backbone and an administration that's willing to keep us safe. And we just got to finish the job. It just looks like that's the only option.
Not to ask you to share anything that's classified, but you do sit on some very important committees. What have you learned through your committees as far as the rest of the Middle East? From my perspective, it looks like a lot of these countries are just afraid. They're going to get bullied by Iran through their proxies, or just face to face with Iran. They're firing on countries that are friendly to the West: Bahrain, Qatar, UAE. It seems like those countries are finally getting fed up and go, we can't allow this bully to go on. Saudi goes back and forth. Qatar's been trying to negotiate back and forth. Oman, I'm not sure where they stand, but it seems like a lot of the people that have been bullied for the last 50 years in the Middle East are getting tired of the bully.
I think you're right. I mean, it's amazing. All of the countries that were sympathetic to Iran are now supporting the U.S. And one thing you learn in the military in the world, that there's a bully on every corner. And if you don't punch them in the nose, it just gets worse. And I got to, absolutely, you can tell they're happy that we were standing up to this bully.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Let's say we go along with those that wanted to impose the War Powers Act, call the dogs off, pull the reins back in, pull back from any of this. What would happen with an Iran where they don't have the United States standing up to them and they get to do what they want in the Middle East? What would that world look like?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of constitutional scholars that think that the War Powers Act, you can Google this and read all the different opinions. They think it's unconstitutional anyway. But it's rules for not for me. Under Obama and every other president, no one said a thing. But if President Trump cured cancer, they'd say you put doctors out of work. But be that as may, if it did succeed, it would be a signal to China and Russia and Iran that if you just put the right pressure, the American people will cave and they can have their way with us. And of course, Iran would, continue to terrorize the region of the world. They buried their launchers all over the place, so it's hard to get to them. As soon as they expose a launcher and launch a missile, we find it and we can take it out. But they're buried in caves and everything else. But they would just rearm, re-equip, and of course, China would send them more missiles that can take down American aircraft and terrorize the region.
And if they control the Strait of Hormuz, the world would be at their mercy for oil production.
Well, it's 20% of the world's energy comes out of the Strait of Hormuz and a lot of fertilizer. So this is harming our farmers, not just by fuel, but fertilizer. But the one thing President Trump is doing is making America great again, American energy dominance. We went from his first term where we were making money on energy to shutting down production and buying energy from countries that don't like us, which is stupid. So President Trump is now issuing drilling permits for the first time in 50 years, and we're building up our capacity to a point where we won't need that region for energy supplies. And so we need people to support those efforts. We want to be energy dominant. We want to bring production and manufacturing back to our country. Uranium, the biggest percentage of uranium is produced in Russia and China, which makes no sense at all. We should be producing it here and in allied countries. So NAFTA, we've talked about it before, 95,000 businesses left our country, and it devastated local economies. Even in my district, you see abandoned warehouses and factories that were devastated. Our country was sold out, and we sent all these businesses and jobs overseas. Well, President Trump is not having it. He's been negotiating in just 18 months to bring almost $20 trillion investment back into our country, which sets all kinds of records compared to any other president. And in my district, 5th District, we've negotiated with the help of this White House and Governor Glenn Youngkin, $20 billion investment back in our country. We're trying to be energy dominant so we don't have to worry about the Strait of Hormuz, although we certainly have the power and the ability to keep it open with our Navy. But it's complicated business, and it's an honor to be part of it.
And if you want an example of that, Toyota's bringing their plant back from Mexico to the United States. And that's just another example of jobs that were lost overseas, offshore to different countries coming back to the United States. Congressman, thank you so much. It was wonderful seeing you on the 4th of July. My best to you and your family. And we got to get to Satterwhite's and have lunch again.
We do. And it was great to see your son again as well. And it's just, if I had my way, we'd have an American flag on every car, every building, and every house. We live in the greatest country, and I don't see anybody rushing to get to a communist country, but everybody's rushing to get our country. So I'm very concerned about that. But I just want to remind your listeners that we're in the middle of a primary right now. I had dinner with President Trump in the White House last week, and I told him not a lot of people know about the Virginia primary. The last day to vote is August 4th. So please ask your friends. I hope they'll vote to reelect me, but we also have a U.S. Senate primary as well.
Oh, can I ask a favor then?
Sure.
I'll pay for it. I'm not sure if you have to pay for it or not. Can I have a flag that's flown over the Capitol and I'm going to give it to a deserving American. I'm going to start maybe once a month. Like you said, I agree with you. Maybe I'll pay for this out of my pocket. I'm going to buy a flag once a month and give it away here on the air. Can the first one be from you that's flown over the Capitol? Whatever the cost is, I'll pay for that out of my pocket. But I agree with you. We should all be proud of our flag.
Send me a text message about that. I know I've got this official over the air, but send me a text message. I'm going to copy paste it, send it to my team, and where I can send it, address, all that stuff in a text, and I'll take care of you.
Boom. And then the first one we give away will be flown over the Capitol, and I'm going to take care of the cost of that. Sir, God bless you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. God bless you. Bye.
All right. Take care. John McGuire. All right. There you go. Dave, I've just made this up on the fly. He's right. We should be proud of our flag. I love it. All right. Coming up on the program, we'll get your comments on that. All right. Here we go. Today's program brought to you by Green Top Sporting Goods. I was just in there.